Hey YouTubians, it's Tony here from We Try Anything. Channel likes Try Anything, so you don't have to. Today's video, we're going to talk about this Kia Rio and what it's like to own over the last 5 years. And in this video, we'll talk about the comfort of driving the car. We'll talk about the reliability of this very car that you see here. And we'll also talk about just any other things that we can think of in terms of what this car has been like to own over the 5 years. So why don't we get in the car and go for a drive? So while I'm driving around the northeast of England, I might as well talk about what this car is like to drive in terms of comfort. Now, I have to admit, comfort-wise, it's been such a comfortable car to drive on a daily basis. Now, this is more my wife's car, and the Micra is my car that I tend to drive more on a daily basis, and obviously give the wife has the better car, because the saying goes, happy wife, happy life. So, but I do tend to drive this quite a bit, and I've got to say, in terms of comfort and what it's like to drive, it has been phenomenal. This car is so comfortable. It's an easygoing cruiser type car, really. And when I say cruiser, it's just comfortable. There's no, it won't set your hair on fire, though you do have a bit of acceleration when required, but it won't set your hair on fire in terms of going down the road. But it's just so easy to just drive about. I mean, the assisted steering's nice and fairly light. It's without being too light. It's easy to maneuver, and it's just a great car to have on a daily basis. It really is. In terms of on the motorway, very planted. It's got cruise control, with this being an Eco Dynamics 3. So I'm just waiting for a wagon to maneuver. With it being an Eco Dynamics 3, you do get what would be cruise control and all that. And on the motorway, I mean, I've done a fair few trips on the motorway in this car over the 5 years, and you don't feel like you've done it. You feel refreshed when you get to the end of like 200, 300 miles. I mean, I do tend to do trips to Birmingham and back to the northeast of England in one day, and it's just so comfortable. And I've got to be honest with you, I haven't had a fault with it on the motorway, really haven't. Now, I know I've done a video about the Micra with it being nice and comfortable on the motorway, but this is on another level. There's just no, you just feel nice. The seats are nice and comfortable as well, and this one has heated seats as well, which is come into its own this winter. I can tell you, it really has come in very nice in terms of just getting a bit of heat on your back when it's been cold. So it's been phenomenal for that. So it's a comfortable car, and I'll be honest with you, in terms of efficiency, it's been good. I've been averaging 50 miles per gallon on the motorway in long runs. I did think you would get probably more than that, but that's what it tends to do, really. So, I mean, that's better than what you would get from a petrol engine car. This car's only got the little 1.4 CRDI engine built into it, and it does have some pickup. Sorry, I'm just negotiating quite a big busy island. It does have a nice bit of pickup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive towards what's known as Pension Monument, which is more towards Sunderland, and I'm going to get you on what will be a fast road. So just watching out, and it just has a great bit of pickup. Now, and there's 70 miles an hour, which is the national speed limit on this road. It's just phenomenal. I mean, I don't know if you can hear, there is a bit of tyre roar, and there's a bit of noise from the engine, but it's not like a drone. It's just background noise, really. So it's not the most quiet, but again, it's not the most intrusive in terms of noises. Now, as I said, it's efficient. It's got a nice bit of performance, and we might as well talk about the reliability of the car. Over the 5 years, we've had not much go wrong with it. Like, every year it's just been the usual wear and tear items, but it's just really mainly in the last year where we've had a few things go wrong on it, just to be used, just for it to get through the MOT, really. So yeah, that's mainly suspension. The back brakes had to be looked at, and that cost about 600-700 quid, plus we had to get tyres on the back as well. And I've got to be honest with you, that's it, really. And when my wife gets I've got to get something fixed, I do have to keep reminding her that this car, over what'll be the 5 years, really hasn't cost her that much in terms of maintenance. It really hasn't. It's been phenomenal. Now, I have had some comments in the past where people have mentioned, my Kia Rio has broken down and all sorts, and I'm sorry to hear that, but I'll be honest with you, I'm going on my experience of owning or driving this car for 5 years, and it's cost very, very little to run. It really has been a cheap car to run, and for me, we don't really intend to get rid of it. It's a decent car to drive, it's efficient, and it's economical. The only one thing we are experiencing at the minute is a bit of a wheel, steering kind of knock, which I'll talk about now. So the common problem with these Kia Rios, and it's one of the common issues that I found, other than I think the window regulators can go on them from what I've seen on previous videos, and that is to do with the steering. Now what tends to happen, from my understanding of watching, reading forums and watching videos about this issue, is an issue that we are facing at the minute. You do sometimes, when you turn the steering, get a bit of a knock. Now from my understanding, what it is there's a part which is hidden under there somewhere where the power steering connects to the actual steering column itself, and there's like a star-shaped part, and because it's made of plastic, it does tend to deteriorate over time. So what you'll find happens, you'll get that knock because it's all, obviously deterioration of that part knocking against each other. So while it is a cheap part, it is quite an involved job from my understanding in terms of replacing it. So if your Kia Rio does tend to have that, that's what it may be. But other than that, we haven't really had much else for concern. Now in terms of passengers and stuff, in the front, it's comfortable. I've got quite a nice bit of space. I've got an armrest here, which you do get in the Eco Dynamics 3. In the back, I'll show you what it's like in the back. I'm 5'6", so I'm not the tallest of people out there, but I've got to admit, as you can see from here, I've got quite a bit of space. Now it is set to my setting, and I would imagine if someone says 6 foot, I do still have a generous amount of space, and obviously headroom is not a problem for me. Now if you are a bit of a taller person, then you should still be okay, because the way the car is designed, I know it does have a slightly sloping back roof, but again, there is still quite a bit of headroom either side. In terms of seating people, you should get 2 comfortably sat in the back. We have had 3 in the back, but it has been quite a squeeze. So other than that, it has been a comfortable car to sit in the back seat. And as you can see, there's a fair amount of space, so you could easily sit 4 people on what would be a long run, and they wouldn't be claustrophobic, or it wouldn't be cramped or anything like that. They do have a fair amount of space on a long journey, and as I say, on a long journey, this car just excels. Now don't get me wrong, I mean the Golf I had, that was a phenomenal car on the motorway, but it wasn't without its problems in terms of turbo issues and stuff like that I had towards the end of its ownership. But this car, as I say, we've had it for 5 years. It's been absolutely brilliant, and I'll be honest with you, if my wife ever gets bored of this car and she wants to change it, I'll probably get rid of my Micra and I'll keep hold of this, because when you've got a good car, I always think you should keep hold of it, because obviously if you want to change it for something else, you don't know what you're buying. But at least with this one, I know what I'm getting. So I've got to say, this car, if you can get hold of a Kia Rio, and obviously I'm going to sum up towards the end of this video about what it's been like to have. If you can get hold of a Kia Rio, give it a go, see what you think, and just I don't know, just see how you get on with it, and if it is the car for you. The other thing to mention is the looks. I think this car is an absolutely stunning car to look at. I mean, obviously you've got the previous generation to this one, which is a little bit more where, it's a little bit more unconventional in its looks. But this one, I think, is better than probably the facelift versions. It's got a nice haunch look about it. Like it's got a presence to it, which I love. The wheels look great on it, and I know these aren't diamond cut wheels, because when we bought the car, they refurbed the wheels, but instead of diamond cutting them, they just painted them, really. So probably to save money, but from what I've seen on some of the other diamond cut wheels, they either rust or they just get really damaged, whereas the wheels on this, they've lasted quite well. I mean, obviously they've had a bit road rash and like a bit of paint peeling off, but they've been great. They really have been fantastic, and it looks great. But the only thing I will say with the wheels, or I will add, is that you do, because they're the alloy wheels and the rubber on the tyres isn't that thick, it does tend to crash over what would be speed humps and stuff like that. So reliable, cheap to run, and just such a great car. And I hope to keep this car for a fair few years yet. So ladies and gentlemen, that's what it's like to own this car over the last 5 years, and I have to say it has been unbelievable. It's been fantastic. It's probably one of the best cars I've ever owned, I've got to be honest with you. It's been more or less reliable. There has been things that have gone wrong with it over probably the last year, but the 4 previous years, very little other than the usual wear and tear in terms with tyres and brakes and stuff like that. But otherwise, it's been a super dependable car. Fantastic on the motorway, especially with that cruise control, and just a great car to own overall. So if you're ever thinking about getting yourself a Kia Rio 2014, or just in this kind of shape, which I think is probably the best shape out of the Kia Rio range of cars, you know, the facelift one, I do think this is probably the better looking one out of what's obviously the facelift ones or the previous generation. I do think this is probably one of the better cars you can own. So if you are thinking about getting one, go out, try it, but just make sure obviously it's been serviced, it's been looked after, and obviously just make sure you put a little bit of money aside. Same with any used car, make sure you put a little bit of money aside just in case something should happen to go. But that's what I think of the Kia Rio. Fantastic car, and hopefully a car we'll have for years to come. So I hope this video was of some use to you, and if it was, then please give it a thumbs up, always helps the channel. If you want to see more videos from the We Try Anything channel, don't forget to subscribe and the button below. And if you've got any comments, if you own a Kia Rio, then why not pop them in the comment section below. Or if you are thinking about one, or if you've got any further questions about this very Kia Rio, don't forget to pop them in the description or in the comments box below. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was of some use to you, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye.